And this is our system, but this is exactly the way it's designed. My son went into reception and was told that he doesn't, that these white children didn't want to be his friend because he wasn't white. And so that just shows you how young it starts. And it's never ending. You know, we've experienced racism all of maybe 2 years ago from now. So it's very common. And I know a lot of people get onto us about it, say that we're victims and this and that, but we're not victims. We're simply sharing our experience. And this is why we've made the move to Ghana, to be around people who reflect what we look like.
My name's Kay, short for Kayode. I'm 26 years old, and yes, born and raised in the UK, and moved to Ghana with my wife Jada and my kids.
I'm Jada, I'm 23 years old. We're a content creating family. We document our lifestyle here off grid in Ghana. And we recently moved to Ghana with my partner and our children in April 2023. And that's about it.
Wow. So why did you choose Ghana? Why Ghana?
So for us, I think the biggest thing was probably the fact that Jada's dad had already moved here and been living here for about 3 years when we made the decision to come. I'm not sure if you can see behind us, but the guest house that we're staying in there, that made it possible for us to come so much sooner. So these chickens,
Yeah, it's, you know, we are in a village, so
yeah, that's it. It's village life now. But yeah, so seeing Jada's dad and his wife move over with their kids inspired us to do the same. I think we've always wanted to live in Africa. That's something that we both had in common when we first met. And yeah, just having the possibility to go into that with, you know, a bit of a stable base was a really big incentive for us to come now. So.
And there were a lot of triggers along the way. We touched on it before, but you know, our son experienced racism in the UK. There was a lot of things going on and that are still in the works in the UK. So things like 15-minute cities, digital money was all the kind of things that we were hearing around the time that we were leaving to go to Ghana. And it was definitely a priority of ours to be self-sustainable and get out of a system like that.
Wow. You made mention of racism in the UK. So definitely, what are some of the things you've seen in the UK that I would think it's about racism, or maybe it's offensive for black men or maybe mankind?
There's many things. I feel like the system is racist. So it starts from the moment you send your child to school. You know, your teacher will look at a Chinese child and a black child, and immediately they're going to put more effort into making sure that Chinese child reaches the grades, maybe an A or A star, because the way the system's designed, it's designed that to make black people look like we can't achieve as well as others. Then when you start moving on in life, you start getting to secondary school age, you notice that a lot of the boys, I feel like they're neglected in the society. And I think that's done purposely. And then the result of that is that you find a lot of black boys on the roads and having no choice but to turn to drugs and selling these kind of crazy things just to make a living. And this is our system, but this is exactly the way it's designed. My son went into reception and was told that he doesn't, that these white children didn't want to be his friend because he wasn't white. And so that just shows you how young it starts. And it's never ending. You know, we've experienced racism all of maybe 2 years ago from now. So it's very common. And I know a lot of people get onto us about it, say that we're victims and this and that, but we're not victims. We're simply sharing our experience. And this is why we've made the move to Ghana, to be around people who reflect what we look like. So, yeah.
So what are some of the things that you guys put in place before moving to Ghana?
When you say that, what do you mean in terms of like security?
Maybe planning.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so before coming to be honest, we just wanted to come initially. We were speaking about coming for 3 months at first to kind of get an idea of Ghana, see what's possible for us, see what we want to do. But after a while, I think just by being able to speak to people that are living here and seeing it ourselves, obviously from the UK, we kind of got convinced that this is where we want to be. So when we came, we decided that no, this is where we want to, this is where we want to stay. So a lot of our decision making about where we want to live was done in the UK, and it was just a lot of faith really that just made us make the decision to come now and see what we can do, see where we can go. So I think it was faith more than anything. It's not even that we had a really really solid foolproof plan, but we just had a lot of faith. We knew the Most High is going to guide us in what we're doing.
And there was a lot of research.
There was a lot of research, probably about 2 years of research, I would say, and constant discussion and, talking about it. And, we considered Nigeria, but, we settled down on Ghana because we just felt it was the most conducive place for us to come and settle down in Africa. I didn't want to bring Jada and the kids to a situation that wasn't as comfortable. I didn't want to scare them off the idea of living in Africa. So, that was why we made the move then.
So the research that you guys did, was it a positive result that you had from it before moving, or maybe you had both positive and the negative?
Oh, we got both. I feel like YouTube, the world of YouTube, is going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, there's videos out there, don't come to Ghana. This will happen, that will happen. I think the biggest scare for diaspora is buying land.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's a lot of scams and things that go around. But obviously, like Kay said, because my dad was here, it definitely made the process a lot more smoother. And a lot of the research around land we didn't really have to look into, as we already had someone that knew the knowledge and could just basically pass that on. But yeah, there was good and there was bad. Nothing that was enough to put us off. So ultimately, we just came anyways. It didn't really matter regardless.
I think at the end of the with Ghana, as much as people can try and get you scared with things like land disputes and things like that, Ghana has a reputation for being a peaceful country, and I think Ghanaians have a reputation for being peaceful people as well. So that was something that we never had any doubt in terms of necessarily our physical safety or anything like that. We know Ghanaians from the UK anyway, and even in the UK, I think most people would say that the average Ghanaian person that they've met is extremely pleasant, kind. Do you know what I mean? So it reflects the same over here. It was just that legal issue with the land, but now that we've been able to meet the people, Jada's dad, having built a network of trusted people, all the issues that kind of were preventing us or making us a bit wary, they disappeared because there's always a solution. So,
why did you choose to live in a typical village that I think I cannot live here?
I'll let Jada go first.
I think many reasons. One big thing is that we didn't view the people living in this village any different to us. We're not better than them. They're not better than us. So for us, it was so much more to do with the surrounding, how much greenery there is, how much nature, and being in a community that was established, but somewhere as well where we could make friends and feel that kind of community spirit. And we've definitely got that from this place. My dad was also here, so again, that goes into it. But I can definitely say being here, it's a breath of fresh air, to be honest, because everything we had spoken about has definitely manifested in just being here in this experience. That would be my take on it.
I think for me, similar. It's a breath of fresh air being here. Coming from living in London, I think I became disillusioned with living in a city from my experience in London. It's not that I hate the place or anything like that. There's a lot of great people. It was just the system that I wasn't really comfortable in. That kind of cycle, work, sleep, repeat, and not really have any time for your own life. But when you come here to the village, everything is just so slow. The people, they have time. They don't rush themselves. I think they're very free. You see people of all ages actually enjoying their life and having a good time. Sometimes in London, you can walk for so long without seeing anybody smiling, depending on what time you're traveling. People are just locked in a cycle of work, sleep, bills, and they barely find any time to actually enjoy their life. Whereas here, you see the children. This is a place where some people will tell you that these people aren't privileged, that these people, because some people will say they're suffering. But to us, I think these people are thriving. The situation that they've been given, they're making the most of it. And, for the most part, people here are extremely healthy, they're strong.
We drive down the road and we see like memorial boards of elder people who have lived to like 120, 115. In the UK, that's unheard of. Our average life expectancy is around 88 or something around that age. So to come down here and see that, it was just something different. That further reaffirmed that we was in the right place, somewhere where our health was a priority. And because in the UK, we wanted our health to be a priority, but it's almost impossible because your food is GMO. You don't know what you're eating half the time. You can't even pronounce this ingredient on the back of the package. So being somewhere like this where you're surrounded by food, for us, this was the true wealth,
That's it.
So maybe if I am supposed to say it was because food is cheap in the village, life in the village is so simple. That is why you guys choose to move to the village, or what?
Essentially, I would say so, because I think as well, having children, you want your children to grow up in an environment that's conducive to them, becoming who they're supposed to be. In the UK, I think there's so many factors that can influence children and the decisions that they make for themselves. Some kids, they decide to do things not because they want to do that. It's a means to an end. Growing up, I can remember being 10 years old and being so desperate to make money, for example. The children, they have the freedom to be kids, enjoy themselves, develop, slowly but properly and, safely. Whereas in the UK, I think the children are forced to grow up fast from what they're being bombarded with in terms of social media. The average kid here doesn't have a phone, but to me, that's not a negative as such, because we see the damage it's doing to the children where we come from. It's not always a benefit, So I'll just say life in general, the way that life operates here, it makes children grow up with values. The idea of children growing up and believing in God is something that you don't have to question here. If you want to go out there and talk about how much you love God and how much you're grateful for God, no one's going to look at you like a madman. But to be honest with you, if you want to go around and do that in the West, people are going to look at you a bit weird. Some people may even be offended by you going around saying these type of things. So this is just a place there, for African people like us that are believers in the Most High. It only makes sense for us to be here. It only makes sense.
Do you think there is a whole lot of opportunities in Africa more than the Western world?
Oh, so many more. So just from my perspective, I think there's 1,000 times more opportunities. The only difference is that I've noticed is for the average person here, that may not come from a very affluent background, it might be difficult for them to initially get into a certain business. But if you have the funds and access to get into a business, then potentially that could be the start of you becoming a billionaire, because there's so many areas that need to be serviced. When we go to Accra, we always say, like, we see the chotros, but we never see, multiple chotros, all with the same branding, owned by one company, investment being made into the quality of them. So the transport sector in Ghana is somewhere where you can make a lot of money, and you can provide a service that's needed, because a lot of people don't have cars or bikes or transport. So, there's that aspect. There's so many other things. Farming, of course, is something that's big here, but you can look at farming to export some as well. There's a lot of demand for certain things in the world, and Ghana has the conditions to grow it. So farming is something. Then there's the land business. There's a lot of land and people like us that want to come and live here. There's also a lot of Africans from all around the continent that want to live in Ghana. So if you can find a way to get into contact with landowners and make sure that your process is legitimate and safe for your customers, there's money to be made. Like in any direction you look around here, there's money to be made. So it's just about being open to this place and open to working with the people. I believe, and there's so many ways. But
I think Jada have something to say.
Um, to add on to that, I would just say another sector is probably like for children. There's only one trampoline park in Ghana. In the UK, there's probably over 50
in London.
In London alone. So yeah, just for children, like things like parks in the UK, there's parks everywhere you go. They're free, and I think that there's something that it's got a huge gap in the market, and need for development for sure. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to take the children to do something, and yeah, that's something that we definitely want to tap into ourselves, trying to create something for the children who come here, because there's a lot of diaspora coming here with children as well. So yeah, that's another opportunity. I think young people always think that, you know, there's not really much here for them, but as young people ourselves, there's just so much to do. Anything that you've ever dreamed of doing in the UK, we always encourage people to try it here, try it in Ghana, because I feel like in the UK there's a lot of ceiling, there's a lot of restriction. When you come to Ghana, that ceiling is no longer there. So the person who once wanted to be a dentist can now own a whole dental clinic, and I think that's the amazing thing about Ghana. We're in early days when it comes to development, so the opportunities are just abundant and endless. Yeah.
So in this case, what are some of the opportunities are you guys creating for yourselves?
Do you want to go?
I don't mind. So like for us, we've had the privilege of being able to watch Jada's dad start his business, and you know, start Yehuda Village as well as Ruby Village, which are two village settlements that has been established. You know, there's I think probably close to 100 families from around the diaspora, Caribbean, Europe, America, South America, coming to go and live in one community together. And just seeing that framework has given me and Jay the inspiration to kind of try it ourselves as well and see what we can do. So we're in the process of trying to, you know, do something similar. It's in the plans right now. So, you know, we don't want to talk about it too much. We want to make sure that we plan everything well and everything is done, you know, with ultimate focus to ensure that once we do this, it's a success and it can keep growing. But definitely we've got our eyes on the property business as well. But we're also very, very interested in and planning to get into the experience industry as well. So for a lot of people in the UK, US, all around the world, they're fascinated with the lifestyle here that the local people live, how somebody could, you know, wake up in the morning, go to their farm, collect food, you know, have animals and livestock there and kind of, you know, use them as they need. It's not frequent in the West. You know, you go to the supermarket, you buy what you need, you go home. So we want to show people a little bit what it could be like living a natural, you know, lifestyle in Ghana. So we want to do an experience as well. So we're packaging that, and I think if Jada has anything to add on that.
No, I won't say no more on that one.
Okay, cool. Let me.
So guess what? I just want to know where this community is being located. Is it located around this place or maybe somewhere else?
The community that Jada's dad has created. So it's local. It's about, so once you reach the motorway, it's maybe 15 minutes back towards Accra. It's in Essoboy.
Oh, okay.
That's the place. That's the location of the villages. So it's very local. It's about maybe from here right now 30 minutes to 40 minutes away, and that's just because of the bumpy road. If the road was smooth, it would be a fast journey. So
in my opinion, I would say the Western world is for the Caucasian and also the African world, or maybe this very place that we are living, this continent is for African Americans and also Africans. But some African American in the Western side normally thinks Africa is not meant for them. In your case, how would you advise those people that have that kind of mindset that they think Africa is something that they cannot make it over here?
You know, this is something that I've thought about a lot over the last few years, but especially since I came to Ghana, because it's a topic that I see come up a lot. But I realized that realistically, it really doesn't matter. we get too emotionally tied to physical places. I think that as black people, as people that all clearly at some point, even if it's far down the line, we all come from one source. You can't look at me and look at an African American and say that we're completely different or we're a different species. It's clear that we're family just by losing your eyes. I think that we have a duty to ourselves and our children to build and develop in a place where that serves us the best way. So even though your family may have occupied a certain space and lived in a certain place, i.e., America, and suffered there, for example, I don't dispute that they have ownership there and they're due a right to that country. But I say that maybe it's not just about staying in that place. It's about moving on and doing something bigger and greater that's gonna, create a new legacy for them and their people. And Africa, to me, is the place to come and do that. You know that the doors are open to African Americans. There's people that say all sorts of things about how some people here don't want African Americans and this, that, and the other. But there's a lot of people in America that don't want African Americans, or there's a lot of people in the UK that don't want black British people there. So let's come and build a place that can actually satisfy our needs. We can even enjoy life. It's more than just coping, and we can feel a real sense of ownership that nobody can take away from us. I think that's what we should focus on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's not for everyone. Some people are doing so well in the UK, for example, that
That's true.
coming to Ghana serves them no purpose. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those ones where a lot of the time when we speak to people, they talk about they had either a call in and it just kept getting louder and they had to come over. I think that group of people, they're meant to come over and begin this journey in the motherland because they've been prepping for it. The call-in's getting louder, but those who don't have no interest in it, I wouldn't force them to, because that's when you start bumping into the diaspora who are coming with a Western mindset, a sense of entitlement, and they're not willing to learn or understand the culture that's already here. And so I think that's a good way to avoid bringing those people in, not to force them, just allow them to do what's best for them. Like Kay said, we get overly attached to places. We want to go to Nigeria, we want to go to Jamaica. We love Ghana, and for us, this is just one step on our journey. So, I feel like each to their own, if you feel the calling, you follow it.
So do you think those people that have that kind of mindset can also help in bridging the gap between African Americans and Africans together, or maybe this movement that we want all African Americans to move to Africa for us to live peacefully and also manage our own continent? Do you think those people can also help us?
I definitely think in ways, when it comes to the knowledge that some of these people hold, one thing I'd say, being in Ghana, things like business is a class. It's something that you take when you're in school. Whereas here in Ghana, I'm not sure how common that is, but it's something that I feel like is lacking. So I feel like they don't get a lot of access here to the certain resources that we have in the UK that's allowed us to even come to Ghana and see the opportunity. So I feel like in ways, yes, we can exchange knowledge, we can exchange skills. But, if you don't have a good mindset on Africa as a whole, then I don't think you can do much help to it. I think you're just taking steps back for our community as a whole, really.
I think that's I think the key thing, because we always, even when we've been in the UK, we sit down, we consume content and we react to it. And our biggest thing that we always say, especially when it comes to, ourselves, is if you don't have anything good to say about Africa or about African Americans or whatever, don't say anything. I think it's a shame, but for example, you don't see a Frenchman going out of his way to bring down British people, despite their two countries' histories. They've been at war for hundreds of years and, all these types of things, but you don't expect to see a German, cussing a Swiss man about where he's from or whatever. It just doesn't happen. And as a result, they're not there on the world stage bringing their own people down. So you know, their reputation isn't as tarnished as ours, to be honest. And I think we're guilty of doing a lot of the damage to ourselves. Once upon a time, you know, it was external forces that had to, you know, beat us down and, you know, put rubbish into our mind about who we are. But now when I go on social media, I see it from ourselves. We do all of the mental abuse to ourselves now. You know, white people or Asian people, they don't have to say anything to us, because you can have an African who, you know, is going to speak to an African American in a terrible way just about who they are, you know, throw things in their face, such as slavery and things like that, rather than using that as a point to come together. And that's why you get these trends and people thinking things like, oh, all Africans sold all Americans and Caribbeans off, when it doesn't make sense. You know, I was talking to Jada. I said I did some research. You know, I'm Nigerian. You know, both my parents are Yoruba, but you know, in terms of the clan, my father, he's an Egba man. My mum, she's an Ijebu woman, and I did my research into what those clans were doing around the time slavery was really big. And you know, the Egba people, they were actively being hunted down by slave traders from different places. And you know, on the Ijebu side, a lot of Ijebus weren't taken into slavery at all, because they fought wars against the slave traders and they won. So you know, but I'm an African, born and raised from Africa. Well, I was born and raised in the UK, but you know, I come from complete African stock, Yoruba stock. So you know, my ancestors didn't sell anybody into slavery. So these type of stereotypes being thrown around, it causes a big wedge in between us.
Division.
It causes division.
And that's exactly what the system wants for us.
Exactly.
So
They'd love it for people to just, you know, oh, I'm African, I sold your ancestors into slavery or whatever, but it's rubbish. People came, they infiltrated, and certain groups sold people into slavery, but the vast majority of people were trying to fight against it. That's the reality. So when we come to that on a modern times and realize that, there ain't no reason for us to be in competition with each other. If an American wins or African wins, you know, or if an African American wins or African wins, we're all playing for the same team. That's the realization, I think. So let me not go on too much. I'm rambling.
You want to say something?
No.
So, living in UK for more than 18 years before discovering Ghana and also Africa, what are some of the regrets? What are some of the things that you've regretted after discovering Ghana, after discovering Africa, that Africa is really the best place for you to live?
I don't get the so regrets that we've had in Ghana.
No, you discovered Africa, you discovered Ghana. You knew you were supposed to do that long ago, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't. Now you've already discovered Ghana. So what are some of the regrets that you've had so far?
Oh, you
after
go first.
You discovered Ghana.
I'll think.
Okay, so I would say, well, the biggest regret I would probably say is not coming earlier. You know, I spent a lot of time in the UK wanting to come to Africa, but kind of being scared. I was scared for too long, and I feel like I can see there's opportunities that I've missed out on because I took so long to make my decision. That's probably the biggest regret. But other than that, you know, I don't really live with too many regrets. You know, I'm grateful for the path that we took to get to where we are, because it's made everything happen the way it's supposed to. You know, sometimes in life you can do things too early, and you know, the way things were meant to go, it doesn't go that way. So having patience and faith is a big thing for me. So you know, I'm grateful. Not too many regrets.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like I don't have any regrets, to be honest. Not even coming earlier, because I just believe in divine timing. I know that this timing was the Most High's timing for us, and no sooner, no later. And this is exactly why we could be in this position that we're in now, speaking to you, literally. So for us, I think everything was just perfect timing. Everything felt. Also, we came in rainy season, and there was a part of us that was like, I remember we was debating it when we was in the UK. Shall we wait till rainy season's over and then come? But I'm even glad we came before, because we got to see Ghana for. Yeah, like a lot of diaspora like to come in December, but December's when Ghana's great. Everyone's turning up, everyone's partying. But if this is the country we was gonna pick for to live in for a good majority of our years of our life, then it was important for us that we saw Ghana for all it is, including rainy season. And it's been raining, storming, but we're grateful for the rain because our plants are growing. So.
Wow. So far, so what are some of the crops that you've planted so far?
Oh, tomatoes, cucumbers,
Watermelon,
breadfruit,
the apple tree, mango trees, coconut trees. What
all
else?
sorts. Lettuce, sweet
Yeah.
corn, loads of things because we brought like a huge bag of seeds over from
Yeah.
the UK as well.
So generally, you guys are living in a garden, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
That's it. That's the idea.
Okay.
That's it. That's
So
it.
you made mention of this rainy season in Ghana and so forth. I know most African Americans, whenever it's raining, they want to go in the rain and then feel how it's raining in Ghana and so forth. Have you tried that before?
By force.
Yeah, only
By
by force.
force.
I mean, no, there was one time that I thought, let me try, but no,
Rain is rain.
no,
Man.
rain is rain. Doesn't matter where you are.
The
For me,
rain.
it's not my favorite preferred weather. I'd prefer to stay inside and come out times like this. So yeah, and flying ants, it's not my thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
The insects that come out when it's raining, they're not the nicest ones. You know, when it's hot and dry, that's when you get the most peace. You know, here there's something they call it in Tumwa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Oh,
They bite so hard.
you could probably see some bites on me now, but sometimes when it's a little bit like this, they come out and they bite you and they bite you. Your whole arm can just look so bumpy from all the bites that they leave. So yeah, I definitely prefer when the sun is out a bit more.
I would definitely say maybe those insects are putting African gene in you guys. So don't worry.
I'll tell you, because you know what? None of us have been sick. You know,
Not once.
all praise to the Most High. None of us have been sick.
So it is.
You know, and I think that's just because since we've come, we've kind of thrown ourselves into African life a bit. You know, I've had the pleasure of working a lot and quite closely with some local guys that live literally around us, and eating food with them, sharing food, working with them, chilling and talking with them. It's just it's acclimatized us here properly. And I feel like that's why we're so comfortable now. Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about African culture.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own culture in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say you are saying you are born as a Nigerian. Let me say it that way. But you've not been in Nigeria for a couple of times. You don't know anything about African culture. So now you are in Ghana now, in Ghanaian communities. How are you blending this UK culture and also Ghana culture together?
I think from my part, I would say, even though I was born and raised in the UK, both of my parents were born and raised. They came to the UK when they were grown up. They were born and raised in Nigeria. So a lot of the culture and values that I was raised with, even though I was in the UK, it's very it's a Yoruba household. So my values, are West African, to be honest with you, influenced by my time and exposure to the West. So coming here, I see that, Ghanaians are very similar to Nigerians, or to Yorubas anyway. That's who I can speak for.
Yeah.
But even to Igbos that I've met, for example, we're all very similar. To me, we're all one family. I don't look at, they're Aquapen, for example, and I'm Yorubas. I view us all there. I view us all the same. I know that if you go back far enough, we all come from one common place.
Yeah, but they only fight about their jollof rice as well.
Exactly. But you see, if you can fight with somebody about jollof rice, it shows that at the end of the day, there's pleasant feelings there. Jollof rice is something so,
Yeah, but Ghana jollof is the best. So.
Oh no. Sorry. That's where I have to disagree. I'm sorry.
I have to agree on that.
Ghana jollof is nice.
No, Ghana jollof
it's
is
nice. It's been growing on me, but I'm telling you, you can't beat Nigerian jollof. You can't.
Okay.
We could talk about that one all day. I'm telling you, we won't agree. Oh man. But you see, like, I'm telling you, we're the same people. So yeah, for me, it's been very smooth. It's been very, very smooth. Jada?
I mean, I'm Jamaican, but again, they always say there's so much similarity between Ghanaians and Jamaica, and since coming here, I've definitely seen that. I think the only things I've had to really get used to is different ingredients. We're used to cooking with complete different ingredients and stuff as Jamaicans. So yeah, there's everything that I've had to really get used to. It's so dense. It's just I can get used to it in a day. It wasn't that deep. But yeah, like Kay said, our values are very similar. and the ways that I'm bringing the two together is really throwing myself somewhere like this, somewhere where we're surrounded by the language 24/7. So we're learning it. Some people here won't even speak to us in English. So that way we're picking up the tree, and it's so good for the children as well. Yeah, we drive past, we see them having parties and stuff, and we're always invited. And like Kay said, we're invited to eat food and stuff. And all of that is just, it's made us feel really home, like we're at home here. So yeah, there hasn't been much adjusting to do really.
Yeah. You know, my last two questions that I want to ask you before we close this interview, I'm gonna put you guys on your toe.
Okay,
you made mention of learning these three languages and so forth, speaking three languages and so forth. But we are excluding few ones. Medase, it's not part of it.
Okay.
You are welcome. That is Akwaba. It's not part of it. And Inti is not part of it. I want you to speak three what do you call it?
Words in tree. Okay.
Words for me to hear.
Okay. First one I can think of is Ochina, which is tomorrow. Oh. No. Is he allowed to help me as well, or is it just free?
I have to think of my own free.
Oh, okay.
You're even using my words.
So Etty said he hasn't said yet.
So each one for himself, God for us all. So you are saying your own.
So okay, so Ochina, Etty said, Eye, and that's mine.
So what's the meaning of Ochina?
So tomorrow, and then Etty Sen is like, how are you? And Aye is I'm fine, is the response.
Okay.
So, and I have one more if you don't say it.
So which one?
Oh, sorry, Kay. Aiko.
Yeah, how will you respond?
I don't know.
Aye.
Aye, there you go.
Thanks for stealing that.
Sorry.
Alright, so okay. This one's testing me now. So what is it? Insuo water.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I have some. Now you put me on the
He's
spot.
always out.
I think my brother is suffering.
You put me in the spot. Oh.
Think you know some.
Oh, Banshee, cassava. Oh, Debbie. No.
Okay, I think you guys have passed the steps.
Okay.
You passed it. So I still have one last question that I want to ask you. You are in a village now. You are in Ghana. You might have tasted Ghanaian food, couple of Ghanaian food, local food, and so forth. What Ghanaian food or maybe local food can you prepare in Ghana?
Oh.
I can only prepare the pepper mix at the moment. That's all I can do, and the yam chips. I am trying to learn though. One thing I do say is that the cuisine is very, very similar to the Nigerian cuisine. So there's a stew called efo, which we tried the other day, but it was like the Ghanaian version. I can't remember what it was called. But I feel like if I put myself to the test, I could make that one. It's pretty much plant-based, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I think for me personally, I don't think I can cook anything. I don't. I can do simple things. I can boil the yam, the cassava. I can probably make some simple, the tomato stew. I can do that, tomato and pepper stew. I can do that, but I'm not talented cooking. I'll be honest. I'm not talented when it comes to cooking. It's something I need to work on.
I can cook.
Jada's the one that does. Yeah.
But I just haven't learned the Ghanaian cuisine
this is where
yet.
all the cooking skill is concentrated.
So let me say this: if you want to learn Ghanaian food, I'm trying to get a channel for my mom. She normally teaches diasporas how to cook Ghanaian food.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Ghanaian food, local food.
Oh, nice.
She is the best in cooking. Myself, I'm a chief cook. I can cook everything.
Okay,
Wow.
nice.
I'm Ewe, but I can cook Fanti, Hausa food, Ewe food, any other food I can cook. I'm the best because my mom has been teaching me a whole lot of things. Way back when I was a kid. So myself, I'm a good cook. I can barely say that I'm a good cook. But she's giving opportunities to African Americans and diasporas that wants to learn how to prepare this locally food and this Ghanaian food. So maybe if you pass by Cape Coast or maybe Omina, you can just go to her place. She's always ready to
Oh, for sure.
help you learn how to cook this Ghanaian food and so forth. For going now, we need to put your social media out there for people to also follow you guys, or maybe if you have a YouTube channel too, you can also bring it out for people to support you on your channel and so forth. So I wish you say your final words.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks for having us as well.
And thank you for having us. Definitely, it's been a pleasure to meet you, and we'll definitely be taking you up on your offer to go and learn some cooking from your mum.
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, if you guys want to follow us, we're on YouTube at Back to Africa. So that's BK to Africa, all one word, and you'll see us. We're the same on Instagram and TikTok as well. So BK to Africa, one word, and you'll see all of our stuff.
And if anyone wants to do the same thing as we've done, you can email us as well. This backtoafrica@gmail.com. BK to Africa.
Yeah. So guys, as we are here, you know, your boy is here again creating a whole lot of content for you guys. I know you never disappoint me before. My brothers are here. They are in the diaspora, and they also need your help. Support them on their YouTube channel. At least we are bridging the gap. This is some of the things we have to do to bridge the gap between African Americans and Africans. So as you are watching, subscribe to my channel. You know, I know you guys will be watching my videos and sharing my videos, but please also support them on also their channel. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. Whatever they post, you watch it and comment for them. So guys,
thank you. Bye.